Hello everyone, and a very big welcome to the 67th Film Festival, Sydney Film Festival, and it's a virtual edition because of COVID-19. My name's Sandy George, and I'm really delighted to be hosting the Post-Force of Habit Q&A. This is going to run for about 15 minutes, and I hope all of you out there are going to stay with us until then. The film we're going to discuss is from Finland, and there's also an 11-episode anthology series. And I'd like to start with that, but before I do, I'm going to ask our three guests to please introduce themselves and tell us what they did on the film, so not the series but the film, and also ask them to frame it in terms of your role on which of the story threads in the film. Go.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kirsikka Saari. I'm one of the 7 screenwriter directors of the film. And I'm also co-owner of Tuffi Films, the production company, with these others here. So this idea was initially started in Tuffi Films' coffee room while we were chatting. So it was kind of our original idea, and we decided to call people together and to develop this idea with us. I didn't direct any of these story lines here, or these threads. I was responsible for the script of this whole feature film, and I was also responsible for this feature film with Elli Toivoniemi. We all, of course, collaborated with all the directors, but we kind of we were the ones who kind of make it all come together.
Okay, I'll come back to a couple of things you said there, but could our other guests introduce themselves and talk about what they did?
Hi, I'm Elli Toivoniemi, one of the writer-directors and as well a producer of the whole film and the anthology as well. As Kirsikka told, we were responsible of putting the feature film together, but I also wrote and directed the story where the young girl is trying to go to the school. And yeah, that's sort of my role in this.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jenni Toivoniemi. I'm also one of the Tuffis, and my part of the film was this company party. I co-wrote it with Kirsikka and directed it, and I also co-wrote the story about the young prosecutor in the rape case.
Yeah. Can we just, I mean, you've said the project idea came in the coffee room, but am I right in thinking that the anthology series was short films like each shown separately rather than cut together as we've just seen in the feature?
Well, I could answer to that. Actually, the really first idea was to have this all. So having these 11, back then only 10 short films, but also this type of multi-plot feature film based on these sorts for various reasons. One of the reasons is that you can't tell similar things in a short than you can do in a feature. And in the other hand, also like from the industry perspective and as a theme perspective, feature film has a much more stronger role in order to reach the audiences and also to be seen much more in a serious way. So this was sort of like this was the idea from the beginning, of course, quite crazy one, but that how it started, where we ended.
So the films so you've only used 6 of the films in the feature, and there was 11 in the anthology. Did you actually know how you were going to edit the 6 together, and did you know that those 6 would be in the feature rather than the others?
No, we didn't know it from the beginning. In the beginning, we kind of because we invited people to tell their own stories and develop their own ideas based on their own experiences. So we didn't want to tell them what to tell. We asked them to share their stories. So in the very beginning, we told that we are going to make this feature-length film as well, and we don't know which of the stories will be chosen, and we don't even know the exact theme yet. Let's see how it develops, and we'll let you know. And everyone said that, okay, they all wanted to, of course, take part in this feature film project, but they realized that it's art we're making here, so we can't be very precise before we have wrote it. So.
And did you draw any boundaries about what you wanted them to pitch to you?
Well, I think that only sort of like guidelines we had in a way was that we want to be in a modern world, describe this day, what we are living now, and of course, in a way that we are in a drama genre. Of course, any director had their own handwriting and approach really freely. But of course, budget will have some limitations, and something we did need to decide in the because we come from a small territory. So, and we didn't want to have like same actors in various. We didn't want to have this type of storytelling for the reason that we didn't know in the beginning how the feature film will end up. That was technical reason, but also like that we needed to find out that we are not making the same decisions. But other than that, of course, we also did have one of the DOPs, or the main DOP, Päivi Kettunen, was developing with us from the beginning. And the first idea was that one DOP, one production designer would be taking over all of this. But of course, for the productional reasons and stuff, it didn't work out in the end. But there was this type of tools that we could use, and of course we were collaborating a lot and talking a lot with the creatives. So I think we were on the same map in most of the time.
And the kind of what you pitched us, the stories you asked were within this theme of how power is used towards women's bodies, which is a wide spectrum, but that's what we started.
Yeah. And we were also chasing moments where people are kind of left alone. We said that they can be kind of everyday situations, kind of small in a way. They can be that, they can be big, of course, but those moments that are usually kind of hidden, those hidden moments, those moments we don't necessarily share because we are not sure what actually happened. Was this serious? Was this part of a power structure or not? Because when we experience them, we are alone and it's hard to shout or, do something about it. So we were like searching for those moments that reveal a bigger structure, actually. Even maybe we didn't realize it when it happened to us or to someone.
That's really true. Yeah, and I think that what we learned during the process that started already 2 years before Me Too actually happened, that we weren't kind of like only kind of like talking about the physical body we have. It's that kind of like, it's more than that actually the power use is beyond that. And I think that was something that we learned during these years and while making together, that actually that what we are structuring here is something more than sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is only top of that in the sort of iceberg that actually let that happen. And that was something that I think that it kind of like grew bigger when we went longer. And of course, when Me Too finally happened, we were kind of okay, we are, now we somehow also wanted to react. How is the world really changing, and how this conversation is kind of evolving from there. And so yeah, in that sense, I think we were really organically reflecting what was happening around us.
Yeah,
Like,
it is really an amazing film, amazing film. One of the things that really struck me was that end scene where she's walking through the park with the flowers and a man appears behind her. And I had this jolting feeling of, oh no, the film is going to end with her being raped. And then I thought, no, it's not. It's directed by women. She's going to be fine. She's going to be fine. And she was fine. It still does my head in how you actually cut 6 films together into the feature and made such a beautiful item, but I will move on. One of the things that really struck me about the feature was that 2 of the key protagonists are very young. Emmy, who's just trying to have a good night's sleep, and of course the young woman on the bus. I'm sorry, I don't know her character name. But it did make me wonder about your discussions about who you really wanted to reach, primarily reach and just reach generally. Can someone talk to that?
Yeah, I think that part of the anthology feature film structure was also this audience work. Young audience is definitely something we talked really from the beginning that we want to read, and what we actually did with the anthology, especially with this short format, that we did quite a big impact work together with YLE, our national broadcasting company, in order to reach the younger audience, which definitely should be included more in the conversation. That actually is about, it's really important for that age group, and what statistics also unfortunately revealed to us, that every third of a girl in high school age has been somehow experienced harassment already before they are 16. So that
they were all. They were also the people who were still quiet during the Me Too movement, that it's kind of us telling, and older people than us telling the stories we went through at their age, but they still don't have a voice in many ways, which we talked about.
That's really true. That's really true. And also I think we talk a lot about how we sort of socialize girls really from the young age already, to kind of like when it actually starts, that we keep on normalizing these situations, or even it's a child we are talking in here. And I think that was these type of conversations we had quite a bit, that also like, when does it end?
Yeah.
And well, we didn't go there. And I think that's sort of how we also kind of like, yeah, it's not only for someone we are trying to reach, it's for us. And I think that this film, especially because it's not maybe for that young audience, I think it's more people who are beware of these things and want to, or kind of like maybe open open to see what's around here. But the feedback what we have got, it's mainly from people in our age and a bit older, that's been really moved and shocked as well. And I think that's something that we were shocked too in the end, I think, a bit like, is this really still happening? And
it is. The reaction from men, what has that been?
Reaction from men, did you ask? Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's been, some of them have been shocked because they can really experience those situations with the characters, and it's painful. It's always painful, and it was very painful for also the male actors, and we had a lot of discussions. For the female actors, it was not. They were like, "Yeah, we know what this is about, so this is nothing new." So they were like, "Let's do it." So of course, male audience, some of them have been shocked, and others relieved, because when they came to see the film, some of them they're afraid that now they are kind of pointing their finger at me and I don't know what to do, and I have to bear kind of all this guilt and I don't know what to do with it. But this is not what the film is about. It's not black and white. It's not kind of accusing anyone. It's more showing how we as groups are kind of how we are unable to react to those kind of harassment cases, and how we feel uncomfortable and we want to kind of forget those things very fast, and we want to pretend that nothing happened, because it's so difficult to deal with that kind of issues. And it's more asking, how can we pretend that this is normal when it's not, and it's painful and we know it, and still we like to look somewhere else and pretend that nothing happened here.
Yeah. I wanted to call the film The Story of Life, to be frank. We're fast running out of time, but I did want to ask about the fact that one of the films is quite noticeably different because it's got a male protagonist. And I wondered whether that was the subject of a lot of discussion about whether or not to include that story.
Yeah, I brought that with Mia Tervo, who is the director of the film, who had been working with the documentary about the justice system and how it deals with rape. And she had so much information about it and it was really difficult to put it all into a small 10-minute film, or choose what to put in it. And there was a lot of discussion overall on how do we, because men are part of this, like we have like nasty women and nasty men and people in all kind of, like, there is nobody, it's not a black and white film, and we wanted to have this young prosecutor who tries to deal with in this world, because this was very much the thing we learned from interviewing the prosecutors, and that these cases are not important, that they are kind of they are not career makers. It's like very dutiful people keep on doing this work because it's really hardcore and you don't really get a reward of it. So having them, we discussed a lot about, are we now going to make a film about the poor man who has to suffer in this situation? But then it felt like a right decision, because it's all about how a woman becomes how she is not the main character of her own rape case. So it kind of portrayed this system of where you are sidelined in even in this most important, a very important case of yours, that you're not important even there.
Yeah, and I think it also kind of like, when we talk about that we come from really equal democratic country where we kind of like keep ourselves super civilized, and where you actually you will have rights if you are not treated right. and I think from that perspective, it's also important to see that we all are part of the system that is dysfunctional in this, and that because it's so much about the whataboutism, kind of like, yeah, but then there is this more important. So yes, exactly. This is how we see women's value in the most highest system power. So I think that in that sense, it was really important. And also, it's not about women or men. It's about internalized misogyny and about the really from way behind us, like the structures we have built.
Like how the structures educate us all. Like the young prosecutor is not a bad guy; he's a good guy. But and it's also, I think, it asks us all, like, what should we do in these situations? Like how. It's not easy. There's no easy answers, and that has also been one of the kind of criticism. Is like, well, tell us what to do. It's like it's not our job.
Exactly. That was something I was supposed to say. That the men's reaction I have got is like a bit panicking. Like, well, what should I do then? It's like exactly. It's like that's the question we should ask from ourselves every day in every single moment we make these decisions. It's not about that you do this and this and then we are all set. It's like a process that we need to painfully just face, and also like that we are not ready, no one is, but we can always do better decisions like every day. And it's painful to see that how complicated it is.
Yeah. I'm going to take that as a very positive comment, and I'm going to wrap it there because of that. But thank you so much for making the film. I hate to use this word in relation to films, but it's just such an important film. But it's so great that it's so utterly engrossing as a film. And yeah, beautiful piece of work. Thank you. Thanks very much, and thanks for making your time available.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really happy to be here in part of this great festival and make the film available.
Thank you.